Hello there everybody, welcome back. I got a new build for you, and it's for the Primal Serpent this time. So we have a desert-loving elemental summoning build, and it is really massive. The wonderful part about it is you can use it for any Primal Culture that you want to. I just picked it up because I found it thematically fitting to the desert tribes, and I really struggled with bringing up some other complement that really enhances the innate power of the Sand Serpent people. Now, as usual, we're going to get started with our racial and cultural traits. I went here for a very magic resistant package. We have magic resistance on our units themselves, some resistance against ranged attacks, and some resistance against retaliation things. You can replace elusive easily with hardy. I think in this combination it might be even more useful, as this package is mostly for your backline. Our frontline will be pretty much all elementals, and therefore it is not really used for your frontline. The culture itself gains gold from sand provinces. I don't know why they gain less gold than the other people from ash provinces, but that's another day's topic. We got also the Primal Serpent, which can blind people when it smacks them. This sounds at the first glance a little bit underwhelming, but it actually isn't. This disables any counterattacks, which is amazing. Also, the Primal Serpent has the ability to just go through any obstacles. They can move through walls. I haven't seen any other primal animals doing this, and this is a hidden trait of theirs that is pretty powerful. All in all, these are really cool to spam, to deal damage with, to focus the enemy's attention on. Now, the Dune Serpent's Boon does the same thing for your own people. They can blind, and they gain extra physical damage. And a really interesting part about it is +4 physical damage is higher than most other bonuses, and well, the downside is that blind is just not as powerful as the other bonuses, in my humble opinion at least. Now then, we are combining this with Mana Channelers as the must-have trait, because, you know, if you are rocking a Summon Heaven heavy build, I don't know which trait should be really better. On the side of that, I'm using Druidic Terraformers, mostly because of the extra mana and the reduced elemental upkeep. You know, that's just a really powerful thing to have if you're rocking elementals. This can be easily replaced with whatever tickles your fancy. It is a good build for Druidic Terraformers, but it is not the best build for Druidic Terraformers. That's what I realized in hindsight, and probably you want to go for the other arcane trait or something like that if this isn't too much to your own liking. These are the ones that we're working with. Now let's move over to the books. So, book-wise, I went here for the Tome of Rock first to give us the Lesser Stone Spirits. These guys are completely replacing your cultural shields, and they transform into this. They can phase into the enemy, dealing damage to adjacent enemy units, and afterwards do a 2-hex radius mini nuke that has a fair chance of immobilizing people. I love these guys. Foster them well, don't let them die. They are really fundamental to your strategy to get as many of these as possible through the early game without them dying. Alongside of that, you gain the Gargoyle, which is a wonderful replacement for your Primal Charger. The only thing that they cannot do as good as the Primal Charger is dealing AoE. Apart from that, they are just the same and better, because they can fly, they can heal themselves while defending, and that is pretty much a powerful package in my own opinion. Earthkin is a nice defense point on the side. If you have time to research it, go for it. Stone Skin is much better than it sounds, as it is a real massive defensive steroid. If you know that somebody is going to take a ton of heat, it's a nice spell to put onto these. And Rock Blast, well, don't talk bad about Rock Blast. It is a nice single target nuke, only getting mitigated by a lot of armor, but you can really nuke down squishy targets with low armor with that one extremely well. For the second tome, we are going here for Pyromancy or Cryomancy. It depends really on your personal preferences in that regard. It is thematically very fitting, as we are playing a desert type culture. We are playing here either the heat of the day or the cold of the night. Another very viable option to pick up would be Evocation, because that'll yield us storm elementals. But I went for the Pyro and Cryo mostly because it upgrades our arrows. More about that in a hot minute. So let's stick to Pyromancy because that's what I stuck with. It gives us Battle Mages, which is really nice, making our setup quite rounded. If you go for Cryo, you get Skirmishers. That ain't worse either. We are here mostly for the Fury Arrows and the Searing Blades. These give us a substantial power up in our damage profile that our culture just needs, and you really notice the difference. Immolate and Ignite are there for you to give you some battlefield nukes for elemental damage as well, and the Pyromancer can be pretty much skipped for that build, as we're using Magma Spirits. For them, it's the same logic as with the Stone Spirits. Your goal is to keep them alive until they turn into this. That is what we want. The small ones aren't interesting, as they are really lousy units. The big ones, they have a decent base damage, they can AoE nuke, and they can phase away. That's a good unit. All in all, like I said, switch it up to Cryo if it is more to your liking. I didn't go for Cryo because Cryo is so dependent on icy provinces, and that's just nothing that we can provide with this build, ever. Instead, Ritual Pyre can be used as long as there are forests around you. That won't be forever because we're playing a sand build. So before I move into tier 2, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Tome of Evolution, because you are surely wondering whether or not that would be a good addition. Sort of. The thing is, if you pick it up, you are cutting your elemental army in half. You only have one type of elementals. On the plus side though, you gain Rapid Evolution Enchantment, which allows you to make your tier 1 units battle ready. They can be really used as something. They evolve fast, they have Slip Away, which is seriously one of the most annoying traits to play against, and you gain Youthful Rejuvenation, which gives your tier 1 units even Resurgence, which means if they die, they just come back after the combat. This is amazing. This is really good, especially since that heal is really stupidly powerful. Draconic Vitality is a nice add-on to your species, but apart from Shepherd being really good for your weak units, well, that's what the book offers. The problem why I didn't pick it up was simply it helps you to get strong, but when you're strong, it doesn't add anything to your combo anymore. Rapid Evolution Enchantment is no use as soon as you have the tier 3 elementals. Youthful Rejuvenation, you already have a cultural healing spell. Draconic Vitality doesn't affect your elementals. Slither Hatchlings and Wyvern Fledglings, they just don't fit into the build. So, all in all, there's one recommendation when I would use that thing. If I'm getting swarmed by an enemy that has huge combat potential right from the get-go, then Evolution would be a really good choice, as you can fight back like a madman with your tier 1 units. Unless that's the case, it's always better to take a second tribe of elementals into your build, in my opinion at least. Tome of Summoning is the next one that we pick up, as it is stupidly strong in an elemental build. It features a battlefield-wide healing spell, which is always, why shouldn't you want that? You have a Super Saiyan buff for any magic origin unit, making them go bonkers. You can subdue the enemy's magic units, so you are well equipped against enemy summoning shenanigans, and the Astral Keepers are battlefield healers, which is in many scenarios even better than your cultural Primal Serpent summon. He can heal. He can also buff the enemy units that they deal retaliation damage when attacked. Really super good fit to your earth elementals. Truly. Astral Serpents, they are not that much of a desired pick in this combo. I personally would even consider skipping them, but if you don't, they are good. They are really good. They stun enemies if they attack them, melee attackers that is, and they go invulnerable for an entire turn if they use Shattering Refuge, which is really cool. You can do a lot of good things with that. Summoning Well is just really cool, giving you mana and knowledge for conduits. Mana is always a thing you want to have. As you see here, we're already on a really high unit upkeep cost here. And of course, Wisp Familiar. Wisp Familiar is awesome. Okay, the other tier 2 tome that we're going into for this build is, as a matter of fact, the Tome of Winds, which has been reworked and it is better than ever before. It has now Seeker Arrows with a +1 range, which is really souping up your racial or cultural Primal Darters, but we are going for Zephyr Archers. Strongly recommend you to replace all of your Primal Darters at some point with those Zephyr Archers because they are just that much better. They also profit from the previous unit enchantments that we got, and they offer another AoE nuke. So we have AoE nuke via fire and via rain of arrows. That is really something. You really will notice how much pressure you can make if the enemy stands clustered. Wind Ragers are also really cool. They are elementals, and they have a nice damage. They really do a lot of damage once they warm. And Whirlwind is super good to put some disruption into the enemy. All in all, the only thing I really don't like about them is that they are only tier 2 and they're not evolvable. I would love to see an evolvable version of that one, or at least a tier 3 version. I don't know. They still feel a little bit underpowered, sadly. I kind of deny. Alright, Dust Storm though is a really stupidly powerful spell now. It's 2 hex radius mini nuke. Okay, and the real big deal about it is it blinds with a 90% chance. So that means pretty much all of the low tier units will lose all of their retaliation attacks. End of the line. Also, you destroy the enemy's ability to do ranged attack with this one. So you have a ritual trait already that makes it harder to hit you. With the sand in their eyes, it's going to go really, really difficult. But the real hidden perk about that spell, look at its cost for a 2 hex radius damage and debuff spell. I don't know, I personally find it a little bit strong. Leave it to you. It's not about the damage, it's about the huge disabling effect of retaliation attacks. Abducting Cyclone has really its purposes, as you can pull somebody who misstepped a little bit, and it's even a stun, so you can really maul them. And last but not least, I want to talk about favorable winds, so tooltips with me. This is a really powerful army spell. If you have a map that features water in larger amounts, you should really have one of these on the ready at all times, because that's really just that good. Also, Avenging Winds is one of the best traits for melee heroes that I know about, or generally, as it pushes back enemies. It has a chance to push them back. This is really stupidly good. If somebody whacks you 3 times, there's a fair chance that they will not end their turn right next to you. This is something. Right, so here we end the tier 2 realm. I have not found a tier 2 tome that I found better fitting than the Tome of Winds. Let me know what you'd be rocking in that regard. We are going in the tier 3 realm for amplification, as this will make our build really well rounded at dead end. Amplified arrows is just amazing. It turns your Zephyr Archers into something entirely else. We already have fire arrows, now we have AoE arrows. Good stuff. Frenzying Focus does your battle mages and supporters go crazier than ever. This is really one powerful steroid, and Astral Blood gives us finally the critical hit chance bonuses that we need. It's a real good package. The amplification pylons even are good for this build, as we have a lot of tomes that have good combat spells. This makes the combat spells even gooder, so to speak. And if you are at making your combat spells gooder, that's the way to make them goodest, by spell amplifying them. Have that one time on your army and you're in for a treat. This is really a lot. Now, Chain Lightning comes as another little goodie on that, and Amplify Minds is, yeah, if you have the city stability to spin, I can only recommend it. It's always nice to have a plus 20 on knowledge income per town. Not much more to say about that. Resonance Fields helps you out with spamming spells on the battlefield. That's also very, very nice. Okay, the other tier 3 tome, we have again a little bit of options. It would be a very obvious idea to go for the Terramancy tome. I would recommend that if you happen to lose a lot of frontliners, as it gives you the ability to summon your stone spirits directly back into your frontline. Really useful stuff, but if you happen to actually already stomp the battlefield, I'm going to show you another tome to keep that control. Terramancy offers you Seismic Shock, which is really good. It's a really nice 1 hex radius nuke. Crushing Earth, which is a single target nuke for tier 3 and lower units. It's really strong. It's an instant death or 40 damage plus stun. That's a lot of ouchie in one spell. Earth Shatter, well, It is mostly for me attractive for the damage. Maybe I'm overlooking something here. I don't know. And Tremor Ritual, 6 fortification damage. There are not too many things in the game that offer so much breaching power in terms of just doing fortification damage as a siege project. Alright, Leaden Blows is amazing on heroes. Sorry, I'm very sad that we don't get that for anybody else. The immobilization chance is really, really powerful, and it should be mentioned that immobilized and slowed units are what our stone spirits prey upon. Alright, I personally would recommend you always, if you're going for my favorites, the Transmutation Tome though. Simply because Tier 3 elementals can be grown back in your backyard. All you need is a hero. I'm going to show you how. This tome gives you more options instead of the same options that you already got, but more reliable. The Transmuter is real powerhouse. They can give the enemy a lower defense and increase the defense of your troops. This is really powerful as it debuffs the enemy already just by attacking them, and Petrify is one hell of a scary spell. Yeah, it is high cooldown, but having 2 or 3 transmuters on your army, you can just disable strategically parts of the enemy's army just like you want to. These guys are crazy. They give you so much control over the battles. It's just a simple wow, and then some. Now, Steel Skin is really good for your species as it makes your backline even more robust. Adaptive Armor, I love that as it gives your frontliners even more magical resilience. This is just so darn good. Transmute resources can be used if you don't need mana and you need to push a city. You gotta see it like that. You might be annihilating all the mana income, but you get back a total of 225% of the mana numbers. You see, 75% of the mana as gold, production, and food added together makes it 225%. So you basically double whatever you had as mana income and put it on the other incomes. Really cool if you're just swimming in mana, which happens. It happens very often. Now, Melt Armor, 1 hex radius, nuke with sundered defenses. Keep in mind we are already rocking amplification tome, so we can crank up the damage here somewhat as well. And the sundered defense, you'll notice the difference. You'll totally notice the difference. Tier 4, go crazy in the Materium tomes. There's Golden Realm, Crucible, and Severing, which offers you lots of different options. Personally would go for Severing because I'm a sucker for utility, because that makes your shield units go super crazy and you can just disable enemies' unit enchantments, which I personally love. You also have Final Banishment, which just destroys enemy necromancy in one snip of a finger, and it heals your entire units and buffs them. There's a lot of goodness in it, and the other tier 4 tomes are really good as well. Crucible gives you insane fire AoE options, while Golden Realm gives you the overpowered Gold Golem. We might not be a Golem build, but you don't need to be a Golem build to abuse the power of the Gold Golem. Anyways, that's what we're rocking tome-wise. Now to the strats. This build is insanely powerful, as usual, right from the get-go. We don't have access to the Primal Serpent right away, so you should play a little bit on the down low early on. The very first things that you should rush towards to are the Lesser Stone Spirit, and if you want to use them, the Gargoyles, as these will make up the most of your roster. Let's show you here. So as you see here, we're having mostly evolved elementals and animists. That's the major backbone of our army. So there's a few remnants from the past which will get replaced in the future, but all in all, you want those elementals filling up your army as fast as possible, and here you see a little bit of a fostering army. That's just what it does. Try to get yourself the cities as fast as possible, and this run it didn't really work out as well because it got settled down on all ends and odds. But yeah, more cities are good for you. Especially look out for the Dune Serpent dens. These are really, really good. But as you see there, they seem to be rarer than others. I don't know if I had just a very unlucky run or unlucky runs here. I can't really tell, but I felt like there was more of an issue with that. And yeah, as soon as you have the animists and the stone elementals going, there's really not much that will hold you back. You just need to go and conquer the world. Strongly recommend you to go for your heroes as usual into a more supporty playstyle, and of course experienced leader. You really want to have that. Obviously, here's the same trick that I use for builds like these always. Once you have a leader that has experienced leader on their skill tree, you can just park them somewhere in the backwaters of your cities and just let them passively train up a regiment of elementals. That's just one of the cheapest ways to get yourself tier 3 elementals without any hustle and bustle. But all in all, what I personally found really important for this build, try to never fight any random mobs on the map without some elementals to level up on your entourage. This is really important because you only get so much experience that you get to use on your elementals, and if you don't pay attention to that, you might end up with not enough tier 1 units, tier 3 units. All in all, as soon as your first regiment has evolved, you are basically ready to take over the world. I had these around turn 20 to 25, the first suit of these, and it's game changing. These guys, they just phase in and quick. And then you just move up with your troops and heal if any damage got done. Your basic strategy should be wait out for the enemy to get a bit closer, summon them some Primal Serpents on units that you want to disable, namely supporters, battle mages, all those guys that need to have a clear area around them to act and shut them down like that. And after that, you just send in the evolved earth elementals and let them quake and buff them up afterwards. It is just that simple. Once your units grow hot, they can blind enemies, and this is really cool as this build it loves to slug. You know, it's a sluggy build. There's just so many dudes standing up in front and chucking stuff on each other. So you all in all will have a really good time with tanking for your with your stone spirits tanking up in front. So composition wise, 50%, 40 to 50% of your army should be elementals. If not even, if you count in these, even 60 to 70%, and the rest, just fill it up with animists. Animists are really important here again, as they offer us extra summons and heals. Just what we need, just what what gives us the ability to protect our valuable tier 1 units in the bigger battles. Which brings me to another point: when you are fighting enemies, AI enemies, try to avoid fielding the tier 1 elementals if possible. They are really valuable for you. Of course, if you don't like that kind of playstyle, you can totally skip out on the fire elementals and just go for Evolution Tome. It'll work a charm as well, and you'll have those guys even faster on tier 3. I just have to recommend it at that point, because it makes the build easier to wield, but it downgrades your volatility a bit. It's just what you want to. It's just about what you want to play. Anyways, there is really, sadly, not that much more to say about it. I mean, you can obviously utilize the Ancestral Wardens well too. We have lots of enchantments that go good on them, and they make a nice add-on to your golems. Golems, I say. To your elementals. But all in all, I felt like animists, elementals was pretty much all I needed. So, that all being said, thanks for watching, you all. Drop me your comments down below. The next video guides will be about the reworked factions. Gonna work on those new barbarians, I think. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thumbs up would be wildly appreciated. Consider subscribing and check out the description box. You will find several links there to Twitch, Discord, and PayPal, Patreon, and Buy Me a Coffee. Or you just check out the YouTube channel membership system. If you'd be so kind, I'd be very, very happy. See you all on the next one, and enjoy the elementals. Bye-bye.